Welcome, everyone. I'm really, really excited to be able to worship together tonight. We're going to do a couple of new songs, not necessarily new, but might be new to you. You may not have heard them before. Oh, but they're good. And it's weird because I'm trying to picture everybody here. Wherever you are, go ahead and stand up. Unless you're driving down the road, you shouldn't really have your eyes on this anyway. I just pictured somebody driving down the road and trying to stand up. Sorry, I don't know where my mind goes. This song says, "There's nothing better than you. Nothing better than you." So if you believe that tonight, I would challenge you. Think about that. Think about that as you sing these songs. If you've heard them before, if you haven't, let's worship Him together. And if you don't feel it, sing it until you feel it, and ask God to fill you up with His Spirit. That's what we're praying tonight. That God would fill you up with His Spirit, that He would fill us up, that we would be bound together in unity of His Spirit, because there's only one Spirit, there's one body, His Word says. Oh, and He's good. He's worthy for us to sing to the top of our lungs, for us to give Him every ounce of energy that we've got, lifting our voices to Him. So if He's given you joy tonight, even if you don't feel joyful, if you don't feel happy, lift your voice to Him. Sing songs of praise until you do feel it, because He's good. I've searched the world, but it couldn't fill me. A man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough. Oh, then you came along. You put me back together. Now every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, no, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Yes, I know it's true, and I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, all my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend, 'cause the God of the mountain, He's still God of the valleys. No, there's not a place where your mercy and grace it won't find me again. No, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. No, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. You turn on to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. Sing this out. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. Graves into gardens. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. No, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Think about that. Do we really believe that? No, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you.
We were talking with Brandon, one of our best friends who's going to do our service tonight, and we were asking him what his favorite song was when we were doing some worship a while back, and he told us It Is Well, and I agree. It's one of my very favorites. In any circumstance, that it is well, in the highest highs, in the lows. So we'll sing this for him tonight. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught me to say, control. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. Sing this with us. Yes, it is well with my soul. Yes, it is well. It is well with my soul. Yes, it is well. It is well with my soul.
Amen. Sometimes I like to slow down for a minute. Just talking to Cheyenne about this today, and think about, just stop and think, meditate on who we're singing to, who we're singing about. It's easy, really, really easy to get into a pattern or into motions, right? Or to be so worried about the performance of it all. It going so flawlessly, a service, even now, being on a stage, and that you forget to just slow down and think, be silent for a minute. Take a deep breath. Put down whatever it is that has our attention and has our focus. Maybe just close your eyes. And remember who God is. Or if you don't know who God is, if you're with us tonight and maybe you don't know how you stumbled upon this, video or this live stream. Maybe somebody told you about it, or you were just scrolling through the feed and had no intentions of tuning in. That you would stop and consider creation. Just open your eyes to everything that is around you. Everything that is around us cries out, truly, literally cries out, God. Slow down out of the hustle and the bustle of life and everything that we've got going on, and just ask yourself, who is God? And who is He to you? Who is He to me? That I wouldn't just get up here and that we wouldn't just go through all the motions that we know we're supposed to go through as people who are involved in ministry, because He is so good. He's sovereign. He sees and He knows every single one of us. And He wants us, He desires for us to see Him, to lift up our eyes and to be filled with with joy because of it. Not to be filled with everything else that does not bring joy, true joy, but to look upon him, to be in awe and in wonder, and to be unashamed to stand wherever we are because of what we know that he has done for us. That I would be not thinking about what people are thinking about me while I'm standing here singing, but that I would be singing out of the overflow of my heart, because he, in the midst of my rebellion to him, in the midst of the deepest part of my sin, when I had no intentions or plans to come to him, that he sought me out, that he found me, and that he brought me to himself, that he died for me. That Romans 5 says that his love is showed to us in that while we were yet sinners, he died for us. So think about that. Think about it. Slow down. Think about it. Let him speak to you tonight. Ask him to speak to you. Ask him to fill up your heart. Ask him to show you who he is, what he's done for you. Don't put down your cell phone if you're watching this, but put down whatever it is, other distractions, and think for a second. He'll show you. This is a really, really good song. It talks just about that. Sing it, Shy.
When I first think of this song, when I first think of it, I think of my little friend Violet. I love her, and I love her singing this and her little life, but I also think about some friends of mine who are in a difficult position, and to some it may not have seemed like a tough spot. It was for them, and they were far away, and that's literally what this song talks about. And maybe that's something in your life that's metaphorical or not so literal, but they were far away, and it seemed like a really impossible situation, and it was such a miracle in the way that it worked out so beautifully, and that they got to come home so quickly, and they're safe and sound. And I think that song can represent that in a literal way or in a situation that you're going through. So I hope that you can get something from that and how God is saying these words to you in your life. You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You are not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen, I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. Well, there is no distance that cannot be covered over and over. You're not defenseless. Well, I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor. I hear you whisper underneath your breath, and I hear your SOS, your SOS. middle of the darkest night, it's true, I will rescue. I will never stop marching, and I will never stop marching to reach you. In the middle of the hardest fight, it's true, I will rescue you. And I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear you whisper you have nothing left. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. And I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest night. It's true, I will rescue you. No, I will rescue you. Yes, I will rescue you.
All right, we're going to do one more song before Brandon comes to
I like this one.
give us the word. How I love this song. This is a joint participation song. We ask a question, you guys answer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Jess is going to put our words up for us, and
Yep.
it's easy. It's just 2 words every time.
Exactly. You guys don't, not a lot of words to remember. It's we do,
It is.
it is, and
He is.
and he is. Oh man, this is a really good song. And it comes out of Revelation chapter 5. And I want you to picture, go read this passage. Some people are intimidated by Revelation, like that's and understandably so. But it's a picture of John, the story of John having a revelation, and he is there, and he's seeing it's in heaven, and he's seeing, and they ask, who was worthy? I believe who was worthy to open the scroll and to break the seals of the scroll, and there was no one on earth or under the earth or in the heavens or anywhere that was worthy to break the seals and to open the scroll. And there's different interpretations, but go and I won't get into all that, but go and do some studying. I would suggest not watching YouTube videos. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there, but do some research, do some praying, and but I want you to picture this because it says that no one was found worthy, and it says, and then John says that he wept much. Sometimes we just pass over stuff like that, but we're talking about the beloved disciple, and he was so broken that he wept much because there was no one worthy. And I know that in our world, especially right now, there have been a lot of hard, crazy things happen since the beginning of time. But in our world right now, there's a lot of people who are, asking themselves this question. That's why we love this song so much. But there was a moment of hopelessness, and sometimes we can't truly get how amazing Jesus Christ, how truly awesome God is, until we realize how hopeless and broken we are. I can't picture that until I'm in a broken place. And we sang this together the other night, and I'm praying that God would bring you to that spot as we think about this, that He would allow you to feel the weight a little bit of how broken and messed up and desperately wicked our world is that we live in. And when we contemplate who or what it is that is worthy to lead us and to guide us and to save us from this world, that we would see at first, that we would see no one around us, no mom or dad or movie star or politician or doctor or pastor or worship leader or Nobel Prize winner, no genius scientist, nobody. No vaccines, no money, no underground shelter, no amount of guns. None of that stuff can save you. Temporarily could preserve your physical body, but none of it is worthy to save you, because we're all still going to die eventually. But then I pray that we would look up and we would see Jesus Christ resurrected, who was conquered. It says that he is worthy. It says the elder said to John, wait, I don't know if it actually says wait, I have to go read it. But he says, there is one that is worthy. There's only one that is worthy. And that's Jesus Christ, the Lamb that was slain. And it says, behold. That's what it says, behold. He is worthy. He's found worthy to break the seals and to open the scroll, to give us life, to give us hope and resurrection. So as we ask ourselves these questions, as we sing this, think about Him. Think about Jesus Christ, resurrected. He was slain for us from before the foundations of the earth. And that He is worthy. He's the only one who can save. The only one who can rescue. And let's give Him praise for that tonight. I'm going to pray before this last song. Pray with me. Father, help us to see past all of the distractions, all of the things that are constantly in front of our eyes, trying to get our attention. Pray in the name of Jesus that you would remove those right now from everybody who's watching or listening. Even those who aren't, God, you are that big, you are that sovereign, that you can do that. And I pray that if it's your will, that you would do that, God, that you would move, not because of me or because of Brandon or Shai or any of the people here in this room, not because of anything that we've done, God, but because of who you are. You are sovereign, you are holy, you are powerful, you are all powerful, you are all knowing. You are all present, God, and you are worthy of every breath that we breathe. You are worthy of everything that we have. Every word that we speak, you are worthy. You are worthy of our love and our affection. Win our hearts tonight. Let us feel the weight. Let us not be Let us not fall for the mirages of safety and comfort that we think we have in other things. Fill us with your Spirit. Change our hearts. Overflow. In Jesus' name, amen. Do you feel the world is broken? We do. Do you feel the shadows deepen? We do. Do you know that all the dark won't stop the light from getting through? We do. Do you wish that you could see it all made new? We do. The sing it is all creation groaning. It is a new creation coming. It is the glory of the Lord to be a light within our midst. It is it good that we remind ourselves of this? It is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Oh, is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this? He is. Does the Father truly love us? He does. Does the Spirit move among us? He does. And does Jesus, our Messiah, hold forever those he loves? He does. Does our God intend to dwell again with us? He does. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Oh, is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah conquered the grave. He's David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slave. From every people and tribe, from every nation and tongue, he's made us the kingdom and priests to God, to reign with the Son. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of it? He is. Sing it out here. He is. He is. He is. He is worthy. He is worthy one more time. Think about it. Is anyone worthy? Is anyone whole? Is anyone able to break the seal and open the scroll? The Lion of Judah conquered the grave. He is David's root and the Lamb who died to ransom the slaves. Is he worthy? Is he worthy of all blessing and honor and glory? Is he worthy of this?
Thank you guys very much for that. That really gets the Spirit stirring inside of me, no doubt. And honestly, I talked a little bit with Nick a couple days ago on what I was kind of planning on preaching, but I didn't give him my outline. But right before that song, he pretty much preached my sermon for me, kind of. And so we're just going to go ahead and I'm going to pray and we'll pack up and every week. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that, but I will almost kind of just piggyback off of what the Spirit just did through Nick, because that is all that I planned on preaching about out of Isaiah 46. Isaiah 46. So if you have a Bible with you or you're not watching on your phone and you have your phone around and you want to get something out to turn to Isaiah 46 is where I'm going to be preaching out of tonight. And it really does go very well along with what Nick was saying and what that whole song is about. And so we will get into the scripture. In Isaiah 46, we're going to focus mainly on verses 3 and 4. And I was kind of debating on what verses and what parts of the passage to read exactly. But honestly, I don't know if I can do the word justice and do the Spirit justice without reading verses 1 through 10 to start out. And so that's where we're going to start, verses 1 through 10 of Isaiah chapter 46. It says, Bel has bowed down, and Nebo stoops over. Their images are consigned to the beast and the cattle. The things that you carry are burdensome, a load for the weary beast. They stooped over, they have bowed down together. They could not rescue the burden, but they themselves gone into captivity. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, you who have been born by me from birth and have been carried from the womb. Even to your old age, I will be the same. And even into your graying years, I will bear you. I have done it, I will carry you, and I will bear you, and I will deliver you. To whom would you liken me, and make me equal, and compare me, that we would be alike? Those who lavish gold from a purse and weigh silver on a scale hire a goldsmith, and he makes it into a god. They bow down, indeed they worship it. They lift it up on their shoulders and carry it. They set it in its place, and it stands there. It does not move from its place. Though one may cry to it, it cannot answer. It cannot deliver him from his distress. Remember this and be assured. Recall it to mind, you transgressors. Remember the former things long past, for I am God, and there is no other. I am God, there is no one like me. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things which have not been done, saying, my purpose will be established, and I will accomplish all my good pleasure. Let's bow our heads and pray. Father, I just want to come before you right now and just ask that your Spirit be upon me, that your Spirit be upon this time as we all get into your word, and I take the things that you have laid upon me and the truths from your word and try to describe them, God, I don't want to do it even to the best of my ability, but I pray that your Spirit works through me and that you would be glorified during this time, God, that we would have our focus only on you and we can come away from it closer to you and loving you only more and praising and glorifying you more, God. We love you and we thank you for everything you do. In your name, amen. All right, so Isaiah 46 is the passage, verses 1 through 10 is where we just read from. And in reading that passage, I've read it probably many times before, but just a couple weeks ago, I read it for what felt like the first time because I went through it and God just started speaking to me. And this was before Jason and Pastor Zane even asked if I would preach. God started speaking to me through this chapter in Isaiah and started giving me truths. And as soon as they asked me if I would preach, I knew this is where God wanted me to preach from because he has just been laying this passage heavy on my heart. And so when we look at it as a whole, I told you we're going to focus mainly on verses 3 and 4 in this sermon. And in reading those verses especially, I think about God carrying us, that truth about God carrying us. It even said it in that song we just sang. I've heard that song a whole lot of times and never noticed that line about does God promise to hold us forever? And it says he does. He does promise that. And so, man, God's just really been working on that. And when I hear about that, it leads me to thinking about something else as well. I'm thinking about getting to hold a child, or especially a baby. And all my life, I've been able to have babies or children close to me or my family. When I was in middle school or in high school growing up, there were children in our church that I was able to be close to and families who would let me hold their babies, and I've always enjoyed that. Or going, when I moved here to Kansas, I've been able to be a big part of my niece and my nephew's life, Violet and Xavier. And when I first moved here, Xavier was still 3 months old, and I got to move in the house he was living in, so I got to help with everything. I got to hold him at night and feed him some bottles every now and then. And it was so amazing to be a part of that and to get to hold him. And I'm now even working as a social worker, and so I get cases sometimes, sadly, of newborn babies. And so from every time, now and again, I get to go to the hospital, and for some reason or another, unfortunately, this baby's not able to go home with their parents, and I get to go to the hospital and hold this baby and get to know that I'm going to play a big role in help taking care of it and to making sure it has all the tools that baby needs for whatever the situation may be. And all those are amazing. Getting to hold any baby or child is really awesome. But I would argue, and anyone that's had a child of their own would probably agree with me, there's not much that compares to the feeling of holding your own child. And I've just got this new experience in the past 3 months. Mine and Liz's son, Grayson, is just now a little over 3 months old. And it is such an amazing experience anytime that I get to pick him up and hold Grayson and carry him. And there's nothing that I could say to describe, there's nothing I could compare to that feeling. There are so many different reasons that we do pick him up or carry him and hold him. If he needs to go somewhere, if he needs to move from the spot that he's in, he's still at an age right now that he can't move himself, and I'm sure that before we know it, we're going to be wishing that he got back to that point. He'll be running all over the place, and we'll have no control over it. But we have to pick him up and carry him around to move him from place to place. Maybe we pick him up and hold him or carry him to be able to play with him. Just in the past couple weeks, Grayson has started laughing, and so we'll pick him up and we'll make silly faces or say silly things and talk in a silly voice, and he'll giggle at us, and that is a really cool experience. So we pick him up and we play with him. Or one of my favorite reasons to hold him and to carry him is just to bond with him, to have him close to our bodies, to have his head laying on my shoulder and get to just, a lot of times maybe he'll fall asleep at night while either me or Liz are holding him, and we don't even want to go put him down in his crib hardly, because it's so nice to just bond with him. But I must admit, my favorite reason to carry Grayson or to hold him, and this might sound really bad at first, but just hear me out, is when he is really upset or when he's in pain or when he's hungry or he needs something. That is one of my favorite times to hold Grayson, because before we pick him up and hold him or carry him, he is so upset. He's just devastated. And let me tell you, this boy can get very upset very quickly. He doesn't normally build up from being content to, okay, yeah, maybe he's whining a little bit. Oh, he's getting more. He goes straight from being completely content and smiling and laughing and happy to being very mad at us very quickly a lot of the times. But when he is upset, when he doesn't want to be laying on the floor anymore, or when he is getting hungry and maybe Liz is going to feed him very soon, but she's in the middle of something and she can't get to him right that second, he does get really upset, and I get to pick Grayson up and lay him on my shoulder, and I start rocking him around or bouncing him, or I'll play some music and sing to him. And when he goes from being so upset and so just so angry or so sad or so upset, and he calms down, and I feel him take that big breath and just rest on my body and just lay on top of my shoulder, that is one of my favorite feelings in the whole world. And I think of that because this passage talks about God holding us. Talks about God holding Israel and comforting them. And so we look back down in verse 3 and 4. It says, "Listen to me, O house of Jacob, all the remnant of the house of Israel. You who have been born by me from birth have been carried from the womb. Even to your old age I will be the same, and even to your graying years I will bear you. I have done it, I will carry you. I will hold you, and I will deliver you." And so those verses are so reassuring to me about God holding us, God holding and carrying us no matter what. And so it brings me back to thinking about a lot that we're going through right now, actually, as well. A whole lot that we're going through. I think everyone would agree that we're not going through a normal time right now with everything that's going on in the world. And it's really easy to forget who is carrying us and who we're comforted by. But I think if we go back, before we get there, if we go back to verses 1 and 2 as well, it says, "Bel has bowed down and Nebo stoops over. Their images are consigned to the beast and the cattle. The things that you carry are burdensome, a load for the beast. They are stooped over and they have bowed down together. They could not rescue the burden, but they themselves have gone into captivity." So Isaiah in this chapter is prophesying. He's talking about something that's going to happen in the future. And in the first 39 chapters of Isaiah, the first 39 chapters, he talks all about how Israel has become a sinful nation, how they have forgotten about what God has done for them. They've forgotten that God is the one who has carried them all this way. And so he's prophesied that there's going to be another nation that comes in and overthrows the nation of Judah and the nation of Israel. Other nations are going to come and just completely wipe them out, to take over their land, to take their people as slaves, as captives, and take them away. So Isaiah has already talked all about that in the first 39 chapters. And so looking at Isaiah's history, looking at their past that we do have in the Bible, we know that anytime things get a little bit hard for the Israelites, anytime that things get hard for the people of Israel, a lot of times they turn from God. They totally forget about what God had done for them, whether it be in the wilderness or the period of the judges, or when they asked for kings and they got those kings, but then those kings were evil, and so they were upset that they had those kings. No matter what it is, anytime that things got fairly difficult, Israel completely forgot who it was that was in charge of everything. And so I think it's fair to say that God prophesying through Isaiah, Isaiah is given this prophecy, and he knows that Babylon's going to come and overthrow Israel. And he knows that once they do that, it's going to be really easy for the people of Judah, the people of Israel, to turn to the gods of those who have overthrown them. When they're worshiping God and they know that God is powerful, but then it seems like something is coming in and being more powerful, it was really easy for those Israelites to turn to whoever's gods it was that came in and were looking more powerful. And so Isaiah wants to give these first two verses. He wants to give this precaution and say, hey, these gods, these people are going to come in and completely overthrow us. They're going to take us out of our land, but they are not the ones with the power. And like I said, we've been going through a really difficult times, but in no way do I want to compare what we're going through to being taken completely out of our land, to be taken as slaves to another land. It's nothing like the same at all. And so, instead of saying that we are captive to this virus, I think from this passage, we can take it and apply it to our lives. And to me, it seems like a lot of times we, even as Christians and as a church, can become captives to the lives that we live when things are quote-unquote normal. We can be captives to the things that are happening all around us. And we'll break it down even a little bit more here in a little bit. But whether it be, things like a job or things like money or things like entertainment, anything, it's so easy to go out and become captives to those things. And now we've gotten to a point in life where the normal has totally been stripped away. Normal has totally been taken away from us. We don't have it anymore. And we've been presented with these options where we can either complain and pout and get really upset and just always wish that we had that normal, or we can see that maybe God is trying to speak to us. Maybe God is trying to show us that our normal has taken us captive. It's become somewhat of a burden to us at times. This is what God has really been showing me through this passage. And so he talks about the gods of Babylon, the gods that the Babylonians served, this Bel and Nebo. They were the two main gods that were served. Babylon had multiple gods that they worshiped, that they served, that they had as idols. But these are the main two. And every year, they would have a big festival right at the beginning of the year. They would bring these gods out and put them on wagons or carts or something and take them all throughout the whole city of Babylon. They would carry them through the city, and people would bow down and worship them, and they would celebrate their idols that they had carrying around. And even to the extent that the king would come, he would come out and he would just completely make a fool of himself in front of these idols. In studying exactly what this festival looked like, the king would take off all his royal garments. He would totally strip himself of anything that distinguished himself as the king. And the priests of these gods, these idols, would come and they would come and smack him in the face to make him look like a fool before these gods that they worshipped, to where they became a burden to the king. And he would grab these idols' hands and they would go throughout the whole town and to make it as though the idols were leading the king. So the king would show the people, yes, I'm king over you, but even I am servant to these idols. And I just think about how we have become servants to so many idols in our lives. We've become so many servants. You see, Isaiah isn't painting this picture of grand festival that would happen with these idols. In fact, he's saying that these idols are completely powerless. They have no power over anything in life. And I think about the idols that we have. We can think about the obvious ones that we can become servants to, the obvious idols that we can have in our life, like addictions, whether that be an addiction to a drug or to alcohol, an addiction to pornography, anything. We can think about the obvious sins that can be burdens to us, that can hold us as captives. But I think that there's a lot of things that we aren't as quick to realize as idols in our life, as things that hold us captive when our lives are quote unquote normal. And like I mentioned earlier, it could be your job. And I'm not just saying having a job makes it your idol, but when you devote everything you have into a job, when that job becomes your identity, when you identify yourself in that job or career you have, I think that is we're captive, we're held captive to our jobs if we let it get to that level. And in hand with that would be money as well. The money that we earn living in a nation of capitalism. It's easy to let the dollar reign supreme in our lives. We have to have money to pay for the things that are essential to keep us alive. And so we feel like money is just this thing that we have to strive for at all costs. And oftentimes we find ourselves checking the bank account at the end of the month and thinking, man, I really felt like I earned more than that, or I should have more than that at this point, or just doing everything you can to attain more money. Maybe that your idol, or maybe what's holding you captive, is entertainment. I know that's a big one for me. My wife can attest to you the nights that I would go to work and come home that night and I would turn on whatever sport was on just because I enjoy watching sports. I really enjoy that, and I would use that as an escape. I would sit down and just let my mind go clear and just watch whatever basketball game or football game or baseball game was on, and I would enjoy that. I would find enjoyment in it, but a lot of times it was holding me captive. If there's a big game that's on or a big show that I know everyone's going to be talking about, I feel like I really, really need to watch that. Sometimes those hold me captive, and maybe you find yourself in the same situation. Or maybe it's getting to hang out with friends. Maybe it's physical interaction with other people. You get to go and you get to have that interaction, and you idolize that. You let that hold you captive, and a lot of those things are being stripped away from us, and people are left not knowing what to do because those things that they really count on in life aren't there for them. Or maybe it's even a building that holds you captive, or maybe a building that you idolize, a building that we all get to come to on Sundays and we get to worship together. Maybe you've started idolizing that. And I'm not saying that coming to church is bad. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. We do need the church. We do need to worship together. But when that is what we have found ourselves relying on, when we depend on coming together corporately inside a building to be able to worship with one another, when we depend on that money to help get us through life, when we depend on a job to carry us, to have our identity, that is when those things become the idols that hold us captive, that weigh us down as burdens, and we feel like we can't do anything about it. When we have those things stripped away from us, some of you maybe have lost your job during this time, a job that you've held for years and years, and when that's taken away from you, or when we have it taken away from us that we can't come and meet in a building and have church on a Sunday morning, when we have that taken away, we feel like we're left naked. We feel like we're left with absolutely nothing and we don't know what to do. We feel like we can't be as close to God without those things, or we feel like we don't measure up to as much without those things. That's exactly what the Babylonians did with their idols. And I think Isaiah is saying you're relying on so much to carry you, and you're relying on so much to comfort you, but God says that He's been here all this time, carrying us through good times, through bad times, through everything. He is the one that's been carrying us through all of it. He is the one that we should be depending on. And just like there are ways that Grayson, my son, depends on me and my wife to comfort him and to carry him, all those ways that I talked about earlier, that's the way that God is wanting us to depend on Him. And so much more, He wants us to know that He has been carrying us. And I think there are a couple of things that we can get right out of this chapter here to find as comforts for God carrying us, as opposed to letting those idols weigh us down and feeling like they're carrying us, but really in turn, we're the ones carrying them. And so a couple of things that we can find comfort in that God is carrying us is that while our idols in life, they might change, and right now we're going through a big time of change. It's a huge change. I'm not getting to go into the office for my job, or maybe you've lost your job. We're not getting to meet as the church. While those things might change in life, God says that He has never changed. God says He's never changed. In verse 3 and 4, it says, "Listen to me, O house of Jacob, all the remnant of the house of Israel. You have been born by me from birth and have been carried from the womb. Even to your old age, I will be the same. Even to your graying years, I will be with you." God says, from the time that you were born because of me. And in all that time, I've been carrying you. And even into your graying years, even to when you get old, even to when you die, that will still be me carrying you. We have the promise that God is never going to change. No matter what's going on around us, that is changing. God never will. Some other verses about God never changing. In Malachi chapter 3, it's another prophecy to those in Judah. It says that I am the Lord God, and I do not change. Therefore you, O children of Jacob, will not be consumed. Psalm 33:11 says, "The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of His heart to all generations." Psalm 102:27 says, "But you, O Lord, are the same, and your years have no end." And Lamentations 3:22 promises that the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. So we can rest and comfort in the fact that while everything else is changing around us, if we are recognizing that God is carrying us, and we are recognizing that there's nothing we can do to carry ourselves, there's so much comfort in that fact. Nick said earlier that there are so many things that can be entertaining. There are so many things that can be fulfilling for a little while. But when we fill our lives with those things, when we allow those to consume us, when we allow them to weigh us down as burdens, there's so much comfort and joy and happiness that we're missing in recognizing that it is God who's carrying us, and He will never change. Not only will God never change, but He also promises in this passage that it is not God who relies on us to complete His will, but His will is already being completed. His will is already being completed, and it doesn't rely on us. If we go down into verse 5 and 6 and 7, Isaiah talks about how other idols are made. He talks about how we have to bring gold to a goldsmith, and they melt it down and shape it into an image, and we put it up somewhere in our lives. We might put an idol up. We put an image up, and it can't move without us moving it. Those that worship the idols have to pick them up on their shoulders, he says, and carry them around to move them from place to place. That idol or that God can't do anything without that who worships it doing it for it. But God isn't like that at all. God does not depend on us doing anything to complete His will. Instead, in verse 8, he says, "Remember this and be assured. Recall it to mind, you transgressors. Remember the former things long past, for I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is no one like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times, things which have not been done, saying, my purpose will be established, and I will accomplish all my good pleasure." God's saying that it doesn't depend on you doing what I want you to do for my will to be done. I'm going to accomplish my will no matter what. All that he asks is that we recognize that. We humble ourselves and we say, God, I know there's nothing I can do to measure up to what you want me to be. There's nothing I can accomplish for you to say, oh, yes, that's what I wanted for all of life. There's nothing that we can do to accomplish God's will fully. He is already doing that. And he allows us to be a part of it. God allows us to be a part of his will being accomplished. So God isn't like gods that count on those who worship it to get things done. God says, my will is going to be done. So that's what I mean by I don't know if I want things to totally go back to normal when I say it. You may have heard someone say that, or you may have even heard that things aren't going to ever go back to normal as we knew it. There's going to have to be a new normal. I don't know exactly what life is going to look like coming out on the other side of this, but I do know that I find comfort in the fact that it's God who's carrying me. And he was carrying me before we even knew about the coronavirus. He's carried me through this time where some of us may have found it hard, or some of us may have struggled with different things. He's carried us through this, and he's going to be carrying us all of the rest of our lives into the end of the age, he says. It is God who carries us. And so I'm ready to stop finding my comfort. I'm ready to stop being captive to things in this world that in eternity really don't matter whatsoever. No matter what it might be, whether it's something that we can look in the Bible and say that's definitely sin, or something that everybody has as a part of their lives, but we've just let it start having us as slaves to it. We've let it start weighing us down. I'm ready to start a new normal, to say, God, I know that you are carrying me. I know that you have carried me. You will always carry me. And I only want to find my comfort. I only want to find my excitement. I only want to find my joy and my hope in you. So Nick, you can go ahead and come on back up and start playing. And I want to challenge you to start thinking about what God might be wanting you to break free from through all of this. What is the new normal that God might want you to start having? Maybe it's that you start laying aside a lot of the entertainment that you let just fill your mind and consume your life, and you start finding that peace and that comfort in him. Or maybe it's, you've lost your job and you have to find a new job now, but God wants you to say, I'm going to find a new job that I feel like God is working through me, but I'm not finding my identity in that job. I'm finding my identity in God, the God who is carrying me and who is comforting me. I don't know exactly what it looks like for each of us, but I do think that we can come on the other side of this with a new normal, and that is allowing God to carry us, allowing God to hold us, and knowing that it's only him who will give us true comfort and joy. Let's pray. Dear God, I don't want this just to be some words that I've said, something that you've laid upon my heart and in my life, and then I go home tonight or in the next couple days, and I just go back to everything being normal. As soon as we're able to go out and spend time with one another again, as soon as things in the world, in the physical world, are able to get a little bit back to normal, God, I don't want to just do the exact same thing anymore like I have, God. But Lord, I pray that you'll give me the faith and the strength and the power, that your Spirit will be upon me to be able to find comfort in your word, God. To find comfort in knowing that you have never changed and your will be done, God. Just like a baby finds comfort for food and for rest and for everything in their parents, God, so much more I want to find my comfort in you. Lord, I pray that for all of us, that we wouldn't just want things to completely go back to normal, but God, that we would allow everything that happens in our lives, whether it be good or bad, or whether it just be indifferent, God, that we would allow everything to change our lives for you. And we love you so much, and I thank you for this time, and I pray that you've been glorified through it. And I pray for every single person watching or listening along, every person from our church, every person in Wellington, God, that you would just, God, stir something in our hearts for you. Allow us to be used by you for your will, God. Let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God, thank you so much for everything you do. In your name, amen.
Let's sing this again. I've searched the world, and it couldn't fill me. Man's empty praise and treasures that fade, they're never enough. Then you came along. You put me back together. Every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, no, there's nothing, sing it out, oh, better than you. No, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing is better than you. Yes, I know it's true, and I'm not afraid to show you my weakness, my failures and flaws. Lord, you've seen them all, and you still call me friend. 'Cause the God of the mountain is still God of the valleys. There's not a place where your mercy and grace, you won't find me again. Oh, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing is better than you. You turn mourning to dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. He's the only one. No idol's gonna do that. You turn into dancing. You give beauty for ashes. You turn shame into glory. You're the only one who can. Think about this. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. He's the only one. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can sing. You're the only one. You're the only one who can. Yes, you're the only one who can. No, there's nothing. Sing it to the top of your lungs, wherever you are. Better than you. No, there's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing Whatever came to your mind that's consuming you, think about it. It's not better than him. Sing it. Think about it. No, there's nothing better than you. There's nothing better than you. No, there's nothing. Nothing is better than you. Nothing can split the Red Sea besides God. Nothing can make a valley of dry bones turn it into an army besides God. No one can take the shame. No one can take the sorrow except Jesus Christ. Sing it. You turn graves into gardens. You turn bones into armies. You turn seas into highways. You're the only one who can. You're the only one who can. Yes, you're the only one who can. Father, you're so good. Thank you for allowing us to even speak your name. Thank you for allowing us to breathe another breath. Thank you for shaking us up. For bringing us to the place where we have to rely on you. Where we have to realize, where I have to realize that you are the one. You are the one who has carried me. You're the one who caused me to be born. You're the one who sustains me. You're the one who gives me life. Help us all to realize that tonight. Help us to see you as King. Help us to see you as Lord. Don't let us be deceived. Open our eyes, God. Remove the blindness. Help us to see the things that are holding us captive. That we would be filled with joy, an unshakable joy. That our lives would be built on you. That our hope, that our emotions, that our minds, our hearts, our souls would be built on you, God. Not on the shaky uncertainty of the world. How that we would be built on the rock, on the firm foundation that is you and your sovereignty, that you are holding us even now, God. Put that on our hearts, put that on our minds, God. Let us find our peace in that. That no matter what, even when it's all stripped away, that we would sing songs of joy, that we would sing songs of praise because we know that you are good, because we know that you are unchanging. Fill us with your Spirit. Be with us. Lead us where you want us to go. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Thanks for joining us tonight, guys.